Hey babe, I'm a centaur. Okay, it's more like I want to become a centaur. I aspire to that. And I know that taken out of context sounds really weird and it sounds like I went completely off the deep end and I'm just insane. But let me kind of backtrack and explain what led me to that conclusion, and then you'll understand. So, a while back, maybe 6 months ago, my friend and I were talking, and we kind of came up with this analogy of the car versus the driver to represent us. So it's like our entire life we think we're the driver, we think we're the one in control, when in fact we're not. We're just the car, and the driver is the subconscious part of ourselves, our soul, our inner God, whatever you want to call it. That part of us that is kind of all knowing and can sense what's right to do and what's not right to do, and that part of us is the driver. So we can never consciously, mentally understand that just because it's beyond understanding that part of us. So all we can do, even though we're both the driver and the car, we can't consciously control the driver or decide where we want to go. So all we can do is be the best car that we possibly can be. So we have to take care of our body. We have to listen to what the driver tells us inside so we go on the right path. And just that was the analogy we came up with. And it made a lot of sense. And it was really cool. But yesterday I was talking with my friend again, and I realized, you know what? That analogy is a little off. A better analogy is that we're like the rider and the horse. Because the thing is, the horse has a mind of its own. A car is just a car. And it's kind of depressing to see, like, oh, I have absolutely no control. But the thing is, because we're the horse, if in this new analogy, we do have a certain degree of control. We're the only, like, this physical part of ourselves, the mental, cerebral part, is the only one who can interact with the real world. The rider knows exactly where we're going, knows the checkpoints we need to hit in order to get there. But without us, the horse, without that body in the real world guiding them, they have no way of getting there. And that means that we have tremendous power. We can choose, if we want to completely ignore the rider and just do whatever the hell we want. And most people do that for most of their life, including myself up until very recently. Without even realizing it, of course. We become so oblivious to this rider that's on our back that we feel like, oh, wait, we're in full control. And we delude ourselves into thinking, I know exactly where I'm going, I know what I want. But then things don't work out, and we're like, I don't get it. Why isn't it working out? It's because we're not the writer. We don't know where we're meant to go. We don't know the checkpoints we need to hit. And the only way to do that is to go inside ourselves and listen to ourselves. And after realizing, okay, that's a more suitable analogy for this whole example, then I realized, oh, okay. So it's not about competing or trying to be in charge or anything. It's about partnering up and cooperating with the writer part of yourself. Because yes, you're both. You're both the writer and you're the horse. But the writer is the part of yourself that you can never consciously understand. So even though I've accepted, yes, that is part of me, deep down, I know exactly where I'm going. I know what my destiny is. I know where the destination, I know what I'm meant to accomplish, the impact I'm meant to have. But I can never consciously understand it. All I can do is embody the horse part of myself as much as I can and just enjoy life as much as I can, listen to what it's telling me inside, to that writer part of myself. And for a lot of the time, like most of my life until maybe about a year ago, I was just really stuck in my head of like, I'm the horse, I'm in control, this is where I want to go, let's make it happen. And the writer's always like pulling and putting stuff in my way, in my path to stop me, to try to guide me back onto the right path. But because I'm stuck in my head, I'm like, no, I'm the horse, I'm in charge. I'm just kind of like trying to keep going in the wrong direction. And that's why things never work out. So now I'm realizing, okay, I'm the horse and I'm the rider. I'm okay with being the horse. And I do have power. Like, if I don't want to get to the next checkpoint, I can be stubborn and never get there. And there's nothing the rider can do aside from just make my life miserable. But if I work together with the rider, then it's not disempowering because I get to the point where working with that writer, we have that synergy, that bond, and I know 100% I can trust him. The writer part of me knows what it's doing. It knows when to push me, when to tell me, get to the checkpoint as quickly as possible. And it knows when I'm getting tired, when I need a break, where I need to just kind of wander off, go drink in the stream, eat a little grass, and just enjoy the day. Because yes, it's about following your destiny, but it's not about hitting the checkpoints as quickly as possible. Because then you just hit checkpoint after checkpoint and get to the end of your life and you're like, wait, that's it? I didn't even enjoy anything. So it's about that balance between the writer knowing, okay, we need to hit that checkpoint, and then the next one, and the next one, and we're going towards our destiny. So it's a mixture of that and the horse part, which is like, hey, let's just enjoy life. Let's explore, let's have fun, let's, go run around in fields and stuff. So that was the first okay, second I think at this point, because we had a bunch of them yesterday. And then at some point I realized oh, what we're trying to do, what we need to do is not just have a bond with the writer part of ourselves. It's literally combine those two parts of ourselves into one. So instead of just being a writer and a horse, we become the combination of the two, which leads me back to my initial statement of I want to become a centaur. Because it's that perfect marriage of the writer and the horse part of myself. And a while back, like a couple weeks ago, my friend and I realized, okay, this decade of our lives is about getting ready, building the skills necessary, becoming the people necessary in order to really just go full out, just knock it out of the park. You know when a business seems to pop out of nowhere, it's overnight success, but then you look in the background and you're like, oh, they've been working towards this for years and years and years. We sense this is what we're doing. Now I realize oh, okay, this decade is about getting ready, but that means becoming that centaur. Now I know it sounds really cheesy and everything, but it's having that image, that analogy really helps me understand what I need to do. And recently I felt I need to surrender completely, and this is exactly what I need to do. Me, the physical, logical, cerebral part of myself, the horse part, needs to surrender to the writer part. And because I haven't been doing that for most of my life, and in fact I've been so oblivious to the writer on my back, that I thought I was in charge, and I've been doing the wrong thing over and over again. And the only thing the writer could do was put obstacles into my way. That's why everything that I tried never succeeded. Now I don't regret doing it because that's the journey I had to go to get here. But I'm realizing that every single time something doesn't work out, it's because the writer in me is no, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Here's a reminder, don't do that. Go this way instead. But me, stubborn horse that I am, keep trying to push through. And I realized yesterday night, I was trying to go to sleep, that this is exactly why, what is causing my erectile dysfunction. Because I'm okay, I'm the horse. I want to be the wildest, badassest, studliest horse that I can ever be. And by doing that, I'm in full control. I'm going to go all out, do these amazing things. But the writer's no, that's not your destiny. That's not what you're supposed to do. And because I spent so much time ignoring it, the only thing he could do to really try to bring me back on course was to keep me from becoming that quote unquote, stud, wild stallion, whatever you want to call it. And the most emasculating way to do that, and thus the most effective way, is to take away that manhood, what makes me feel like a man. So by giving me erectile dysfunction, completely emasculating and forcing me to look inward and to see, oh, okay, there's this other part of myself that I have to listen to, that I have to not only learn to trust and to partner up with, but I will eventually get to the point where we become one, becoming that centaur. So it's a lot to take in. I'm still kind of reeling from it, but it's so cool because it explains everything. And I'm just wow, that makes perfect sense. So it's at this point in my life, it's about wiping the slate clean. And I've been doing that for the last couple months. And I realized recently, after the last relationship that didn't work out, I need to do that with also past relationships. So I've been going through the process of just slowly severing all those ties to past relationships. So it's even, let's say I dated someone and then we haven't really spoken that much since, maybe once or twice, but we're still connected on Messenger as an example. It's there's that small string connecting me to that person. And until I sever that, until I literally unfriend that person, it's I'm still holding on to the past. Holding on to that old life, still trying to just be like that horse. So I need to surrender that. And I realized yesterday that I think a lot of people feel this. like something is missing, like they're looking for something, an answer, something to fill the void or the hole, whatever you want to call it. And I've been doing that for most of my life. And I realized, oh, it's because it's this urge that I feel to bond with the writer inside me, the writer part of me, and become that centaur. But because I didn't realize that part of me existed, I was trying to bond with stuff outward of myself. So, relationships or work or purpose or goals or whatever. And by trying to bond with all that stuff, I created this weird, mutant, messed up monster that's not a centaur because I was bonding with something outside myself. And I've been realizing recently the answer is within. But it wasn't until yesterday when I understood like the rider and horse like relationship and the fact that we eventually need to bond, and the only way to do that is to wipe the slate clean of all the external things I've bonded with so that I'm nothing more than the horse. And then I can go inside myself and really connect with that writer part of myself, and eventually, probably in a few years, hopefully by the end of the decade, become that centaur. So that at that point, once I'm at that stage of being a centaur, it's like, okay, I'm fully myself, fully integrated, fully connected with myself. And there's nothing that I can't do. And it's just like this erectile dysfunction is the biggest red flag that I've been trying to ignore for years. Because the writer part of me is like, no, don't do this. I'm trying to get you on the right path, but you're not listening to me. And because I've been ignoring that part of me for so long, even though now I'm like, okay, I'm aware of it. I'm starting to surrender. I'm starting to go through the process of working with you and doing everything I need for us to unite and become that centaur. That writer part of myself still doesn't believe me. It's like, no. The biggest motivator that I have is this erectile dysfunction. So I'm going to keep it until I'm 100% sure that you're fully in, fully dedicated. So even though I know that the solution to my problem is complete surrender, is to go inward, is to wipe the slate clean, is to do all those things that I said, it's probably going to take a while, maybe years. And I hate to admit that, but it's probably going to take years before this issue finally goes away, because it's going to take a while before the writer part of myself trusts me enough to be like, okay, you don't need that stick anymore. You can just have the carrots from now on. And that kind of sucks. And I don't think I need to go to the extreme of just stopping to have sex completely, but understanding that kind of gives me that freedom of, okay, I don't need to try. I can't force anything. I've tried to force stuff in the past, try to be that like stallion or that horse part of myself and be in control of everything and force everything. And that doesn't work. So all I can do is surrender. That doesn't mean I have to stop, having relationships and all that stuff. It just means I have to accept the fact that probably for a while, a few more years maybe, I'm still going to have to deal with that issue. So I think that's about everything. As you can see, it was a lot to take in and to process and understand, but now that I have, it's just like everything makes sense. All right. It's just ironic that I realize this now when I'm about to leave in a couple of days. So it's just like perfect time to wipe the slate clean, start anew, and just start that process of bonding to eventually get to the place where I've become that centaur. So once again, my goal is to become a centaur. And that sounds completely insane when I say that. Anyway, thanks for being with me. And hopefully all of that makes sense, because to me, it does make 100% sense. It's like everything finally makes sense. All right, I'm about to go chat with Aaron. Hopefully, or not hopefully, I don't need more breakthroughs, but knowing ourselves, we're probably gonna have a couple more. So I might make another video soon enough. All right, bye.